Hi everyone, I hope today you are doing well because I am. I'm finally doing this video where I will be sharing with you some lessons from stories of Yanxi Palace that you can apply to your own life because this show is more than just an historical show. It's actually a blueprint. It's actually um, a manual on how to navigate power structures. And I think we all need this, don't we? So the show is actually about power, influence, and perception, and how to make the most of the cards you've been given, which is basically just like in life. And I'm really excited because at the end of this video, you'll have 15 lessons that you will be able to apply in your real life, be it in your relationship, in love, or with your family, at work, or even with yourself. Actually, what I want you to take out of this video is to have a new outlook on human relationships and power structure, which I hope you will get by with those 15 lessons. Before I get into the lessons, I want to tell you what is this historical show. So this historical show is called Stories of Yanxi Palace. If you haven't seen it, I really advise you to watch it. And it's amazing. It tells us the story of Wei Yingluo, who joins the Forbidden City to find out who took the of her sister. She wants revenge for her sister. And she arrives, she's just a servant, she's just a maid, she doesn't have much. But yet, episode by episode, we see how she's rising the ranks, how she's using some of her social intelligence and social skills to make a situation for herself. And look, if you want to watch the show, watch it now and then watch this video. Now, from now on, I will take it that you've watched the show or that you don't mind me telling you what happened in the show. From this moment in the video. From this moment. So you have to make your decision. Okay, decision made. I continue as if you watch it or as if you decided that you're not watching it. Okay, so what happened is that she was just a maid, and slowly she went high up in the rank, helping the empress, consort, until she reached the level of being the most powerful woman in the entire kingdom. How did she succeed? Wei Yingluo, a little girl with no connections, with no alliance, with no money, who's not coming from a family that is a clan, who arrived and didn't even know how to read or write. How did she manage from the lowest rank to the highest? How did she do it? The show is the blueprint. This is not about the Forbidden City. This is about your life. So now I will share the lesson. I really invite you to think how you can apply this to your life. And let's go. Let's just get started. So lesson one, which is being underestimated is an advantage. It truly is, because we see in the show that since she's coming from no background or whatsoever, she's really underestimated. So the other consort in the harem, the other women, the other people, they didn't think of her as a threat. So she was able to gather so many informations because people simply think that she's not even a threat. She can know or she doesn't know. They were overlooking her, which actually was an advantage. Now, lesson two. Reputation is your real currency. It is. It really is. So there's what's truly happening and what people think is happening. And what people think is happening is as important as what is truly happening. And this is why reputation is your real currency. How are you perceived by the emperor? Remember, this is not about Chinese history right now. How are you being perceived? This is crucial. This is currency. So you have to manage your reputation, being in how you speak, what people think of you, how are you dressed, how do you behave, how do you carry yourself, all of that. This is currency. All right, lesson 3, my girls. The protagonist goal is agency, not love or marriage. This is what I really liked in the show, is that the more I watched it, I really like to see that actually it's not a romance show. The goal is not to see the love triangle, which we see, but it's secondary. It's not the first place in the show, and I really love that. Yes, we see how she fall in love, or how the other man, the general from the army, falls in love with her, how the emperor is looking at her. We see that, but it's not central. And I really love that, because all during all the show, we see that the goal is her, is Wei Yingluo, is her doing her choices, living on her own terms, and having your own agency. It comes first, before love, before marriage, and actually love and marriage are just byproduct of her living her own life. And I really love this, and I think it's a lesson for many women today. I'm not saying don't fall in love, don't get married. We love, we love marriage, we are lover girls and all of that. But I think that it shouldn't come at the cost of your own agency, and you need to be your own person first and foremost. Lesson 4, choose battle strategically. We've seen it, ooh la la, during the entire show. We see that there's just so many things happening in the kingdom. There is a war outside of the kingdom. There is some war within the kingdom. There is some issues happening within the forbidden cities. There's just so much going on. At some point, you need to pick your battle. Sometimes you need to think, if I'm putting all of my energy in that, is it going to help me short term or long term? And we've seen this time and time again with Wei Yingluo, is that she chooses long term. She chooses her battles strategically. And I want you to do the same in your life. Now, lesson 5. Lesson 5. Allies are essentials. I really believe that you cannot go far on your own. There's this saying that says, seul on va plus vite, ensemble on va plus loin. Alone we go faster, together we go further. And I really, really like this because it shows that allies are essential. You cannot succeed on your own. And we've seen it in the show. Even though she's really intelligent, even though she's really clever, even though she has all of those things going on for her, if she wouldn't have had allies of all ranks, she wouldn't have made it that far. So allies are essential, girls. Now lesson 6. Timing matters as much as action. That's so true for the show, and that's also very true for your life. So sometimes, is it the best time to ask for that promotion? Now let's go to lesson 7. Adapt constantly. Endurance is an underrated power. And the show shows us the story of Wei Yingluo, and it goes through 20 years. So how did she manage to stay 20 years? Also, we have to look back at this historical and this period in time. Women didn't stay long in the harem. Women didn't stay long in the forbidden city. They stayed for a set period of time. Some, if they were not getting married or if they were not made concubine by the emperor or something, they could leave and go back to their family. But there was this turnover. Just like in a company, just like in so many various settings of life, there's this turnover. So it's very true that you have to adapt if you want to stay. And we see it in the second part of the show, where a lot of people are either left, died, or whatever thing happened, they're not there anymore, and a few are still there. What do they have in common? They manage to adapt. Especially Wei Yingluo, you see how she adapts when there's newcomers in the harem, or when there's newcomer in the forbidden city, and when some people are like, oh, be careful, she might be a threat to you, and she thinks, is this woman a threat, or is this an ally to be? How can I adapt? Okay, this has changed. I read the room. This is what's happening right now. How can I adapt to have the best situation possible for myself? So it's all about adapting reading the room, and having a certain endurance when it comes to all of that. Now let's go to lesson 8, which is the title is a trap. It is. It is. Because when you look at Empress Fuka, so for a while I was focusing on the main character, which is Wei Yingluo, but now I really want us to focus on the Empress as well. And when we look at the Empress, the first Empress, because if you watch the show, you know there have been several. When we look at the first Empress, we realize that the title is a trap. So we have an empress that is very kind, has a lot of virtue, loves her kingdom, is kind to the emperor. She represents values, she represents virtue, she has great morals. She has all of that. She's respected somehow. But is she happy? And most importantly, is she free? And it looks like she's not. So that's why watching the show, I realized that the title is a trap. She may be the most powerful woman in the kingdom. She may be the empress. She may be married to the emperor. But is she free to do however she please? You see, you can see the weight of the title of being the empress. She wants, and we see that in some episodes, she wants to dress in a certain way and to dance and be lightweight. But then she's reminded of, no, an empress cannot have a life that is a bit more lighter, that can be a bit more fun. She cannot let go even just for one evening. No, at all times she must be like this. I'm the empress, I'm the empress, I'm the title. I represent all of the women of the nation. At all times she has to be like that. And that's quite heavy. It's heavy also in her marriage. It's heavy in all areas of her life, because in the end, her life doesn't belong to herself anymore. And you can see that the title is a trap. So sometimes you might want something, but do you really want it, or do you just want the title? Because that's what we see. Okay, it's amazing to be the empress. Wow, you are the most powerful woman. You are this, you are the wife of the emperor. But you share that man with so many other women. You can sometimes somehow have a bit of a say in some state affair, but is it really that powerful, or is it a trap? Looking at the empress, I've observed and I came to the conclusion that this is actually a trap. So don't be fooled by titles. Now, number nine, control your emotions. I think so, especially for us as women, it's really important to be able to control our emotions. And I think that there is this consort who then became empress, Nara, who really showed it well, because she was always so composed, and she seemed cold, but she was actually controlling her emotions, and she was always focused on her end goals and following her plan carefully, tactfully, not letting herself being distracted by things that were happening in the day-to-day, or people that were trying to get on her nerves. And I think that's definitely something that can help you in various aspects of life. Number 10, do not be the one to give it all to be respected. So still about the empress, even though I loved how she showed us how to control our emotions and how to have your plan, I think there is one aspect of her life where things didn't really work well for her. So she was so in love with the emperor. She was always doing everything for the emperor, and to make her family, her clan proud, to make everyone else proud. And she gave her all. She gave her all life for this. To climb the ladder, to become the empress, to have it all. She gave her all. But she didn't get the most important thing, which is respect and love. She was not respected by the emperor, and she was not loved by the emperor, because she was taken for granted. She was always helping the emperor. She was always helping her clan. And as a result, she was taken for granted. And this is something I want you to take for your life as well. do not give your all. Always keep a bit for yourself. It's good to be selfless and think of other people, but think of yourself as well. So do not give your all, because actually quite the opposite. You won't be respected more, but you will be respected less, which I know is counterintuitive, but it is what it is. But it is what it is. Number 11. 11. Never let anyone believe they fully possess you. The moment they do, your power over them ends. And I love this bit because it shows towards the end of the show. I told you I'm acting as if you've watched it. So towards the end of the show, we have a very rare moment where Empress Nara crashed out. Because I love this part because it's something that is so relatable to so many women actually. She crashed out in front of the emperor at the end. I think it's in the last episode or the last, before the last one. She said, I gave you everything. I dedicated my life to you, to the kingdom, to everything. What did I get? I didn't get any consideration from you. I didn't get any love, any affection. What did I get out of it? And it was a rare moment where, boom, she showed actually her emotion. And later on in the show, closer to the end, she asked Wei Yingluo, how did you do it? Because I never managed to get the emperor to love me, to care for me, and to have this attention, this respect from him. And I love Wei Yingluo's answer. That's why I'm sharing it with you today. Is that she said that you should not show him that you care that much about him. Because the moment they know you care that much, they fully possess you, you're willing to do anything and everything for them, then you do not have the upper hand anymore. And when we look at Yingluo's relationship with the emperor, that's what she did all along. He never got the upper hand. And I can go in that in another video or something. It's a really interesting dynamic. And I found that very interesting. But for you, for me, for everyone, I think the takeaway is this. Never let anyone believe they fully possess you, because the moment they do, your power over them ends. And I think it's really interesting. So don't fall in love blindly, but it's not just about love. In everything you do, don't let people, it can be your friend, it can be a family member, it can be at work, anything. Don't let them think that you're so willing to do anything that they want for you and that they got you over the palm of the hand, because then it's the end of the attraction if it's romantic, or even like the balance is not balanced anymore. So that's very interesting. Lesson 12. Female solidarity exists, and I love it, so that's why I wanted to add that. It's something they showed all along the show, women supporting women. We need more of that. I love seeing that on the screen, and I think it's so interesting because that's how women manage to climb up the ladder, by supporting each other, even though we also see that sometimes there was some crazy stuff happening because that's the Forbidden City. But I think that overall they managed to showcase how women can mentor you, support you, push you one step further. So it's really amazing and beautiful to see. Now lesson 13. Failure is systemic. No matter how high you climb, you remain subject to the system's constraint. Remember, this is not about the Forbidden City. This is about your life, and this is about power structure. Let me repeat it one more time. No matter how high you climb, you remain subject to the system's constraint. Failure is systemic. I'm not saying that you will always fail, all right? But what I'm saying is that you will always remain subject to the system constraint. And this is what they show in the show. And I found that really interesting. Because we see that even though Wei Yingluo succeeds, okay, she was a maid, she became the most powerful woman in the kingdom. She became the empress. She had the emperor wrapper on her finger. She had the respect of all of the other palaces. Everyone was like, yeah, we love Wei Yingluo, etc., etc. She was respected. She managed to leverage all of that for over 20 years. She was a big strategist, but yet still Wei Yingluo lost some stuff along the way to get to that point. She lost things. And she still remained a subject to the system's constraint. Because even though she became an empress, what she had to give up in order to become that shows the limitation of the system. She had to give up so much in order to reach to that point. And even though she was the most powerful empress, did she really have all of the power? Even she was still subject to the emperor. And actually, even the emperor is not free. Even he is subject to the system. Even the most powerful man is subject to the system. There's a system and everyone has to play a role in it. So even if you climb the ladder, you will still have to play a role in the system. And I found that really interesting. And obviously it's food for thought. So it's not a lesson that you have to apply in your life, but it's more something to keep in mind. And we've seen that because even women who had some titles like consort and all of that, they were not that free. They were not that free because they still had to take actions in order to protect their clan. They still had to follow the script that was written for them. They may have a script that was more interesting than the maid or the servant, but they still had to follow the script. And the more you go up, you realize that every person within the Forbidden City had to follow a script. They cannot just do as they pleased. And this is really interesting because it shows you that no matter how high you climb the ladder, you are still a subject to the system's constraint. Which leads me to lesson 14. The Forbidden City offers no true escape. So at some point during the show, we see that there is this character called Shen Bi who sets up something for Wei Yingluo and Fu Hafuzheng to leave the Forbidden City, to escape. So just to give you more insight, Wei Yingluo fell in love with Fu Hafuzheng, who is the general of the army, really respected man. But due to the system and all of that, they couldn't be together. All right? They couldn't because the emperor wanted Wei Yingluo, and Wei Yingluo was part of the harem and she was a concubine and all of that. So she couldn't. They couldn't be together, even though at some point they had an opportunity that got missed. But in the end, they couldn't. And this is really sad. That's such a beautiful love story because he really respected her as an equal. He valued her wit, her intelligence, her idea when it comes to state affair. He really saw her as a force of nature, as the force of nature that she was. But unfortunately, this love story couldn't come to be. And at some point, there is this other girl who is in the Forbidden City who created a trap or something like an escape so that the two lovers could escape. But both Wei Yingluo and Fu Hafuzheng saw it through. They choose not to escape. And they even call the emperor and say, look, someone tried to do something so we can escape. And what does this show? It shows that within the Forbidden City, there is no true escape. And think about it, even if they did escape, do you really think that the emperor would have left it to be? Because then it means that everyone can leave the Forbidden City. So he would have gotten some people and find them. So you cannot just escape with your loved one and whatever. And it really shows that the Forbidden City offers no true escape. And when I was thinking, I realized, can we exit the system? Can we, I'm getting into big words. I don't want to go for the big words, but can we exit the system? Like the power structures that we are in, whatever they are. I don't want to say the big words, but I think you know them. The one about the one about gender, the one about, yeah, you see? Can we escape them? can we exit the system? I'm sure if you felt, you had some think about it as well. Can we exit the system that we live in? Can we or can we not? And that's what they showed in that scene. In the movie, I mean in the show, they show that there's no true escape. Oh, it's not an easy one, is it? And the last lesson, which is about winning. And I love it. And I love it. So, because realize that there's no true way to win. You cannot, you cannot escape. Because there's a system, you can't escape it. So then it made me wonder, how can someone win? If you're born like Wei Yingluo, a maid, a servant, how can you win? Because even if you become an empress, you're still subjected to the rules. Even when we've seen the Empress Fuka, she was still subjected to the rules. She had so much pressure and she could not do as she pleases. So how can you win in the end? And to me, came up with this. There are multiple ways to win. To some people, winning means getting the title, becoming the empress. But when you choose that, know that there are some trades-off. For some people, winning means actually living a very simple life, far from all of the Forbidden City stories. To them, that's a win, because they don't have to bear that, but they would have to bear other constraints. Maybe they won't have all of the opulence of the people living in the Forbidden City. Maybe for some people, the win is just to become a consort. You have a bit of advantage, not all of them, not too much responsibility, just a bit, and for you, that's your win. Maybe your win is to live outside the Forbidden City, or maybe your win is to just live there but have a very low responsibility task. At least you have the protection of the Forbidden City, but not too much of the responsibility. So to me, actually, the win is defining it on your own terms. This is how you win. You define success. You define winning. Because if you don't, someone else will define success and winning for you. And maybe that won't look like what is truly aligned with what you want. So before anything, decide what does winning mean to you. And once you have that definition, don't let go. Hold it tight and use it as your guide on the way. That's my way of seeing it. So for me, this show was really interesting. Definitely learned a lot about power structure, power dynamics, social intelligence. Woof, a lot of things were taught, a lot of things were digested, a lot of things were understood. But I really loved Wei Yingluo's character, and I loved how she was not shown just as someone who is beautiful or whose main goal was not to get the love of the emperor. Her goal was actually to live a life on her own term within the limits of the system. And she did the most that she could with the card that she had. And I think that this is very interesting. She followed her own values and moral compass, not the one of the system. And she tried to be herself the most while being in the constraint of the system. I really love in the show how actually the show is really about women and showing the women perspective. And I also really love how Wei Yingluo always makes choices that are the best for her. She's putting herself first. And I really love that for Wei Yingluo. And I think it's so inspiring for other women. Always put yourself first. And over time, that's how she won. Isn't it so interesting? That's how she won, by following her own moral and values and putting herself first. Putting herself and her own interest first, even before the emperor. Unbelievable. So yes, these are the 15 lessons I've taken from Stories of Yanxi Palace. If you haven't watched the show, watch it. It's about a story, it's about power, it's about many things, and also it just really flew by. It's really beautiful to watch, from the outfit, the scenery, the music. It's quite cinematic, and I think I really liked it, as you can see. But most importantly, you learn so much. You learn so much. And for women like you, it's important to have those lessons because it can help you navigate life better. So I hope you found something that's really helpful for you, and I hope you will apply some of that. Subscribe and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.